Greetings, true believers. Welcome back in. I'm Ed Berliner, and welcome to the Talk Sports Network. And when it comes to college sports, high school sports, the recruiting, the analysis, and what goes on at every single coaching facet in America, this is the place to be. And believe me, this is the place where we have started more arguments in the last couple of weeks than I have seen in years of doing sports talk of any kind. Let's get to it. Let us welcome back in my co-host, the guy who authors the Blue Sheet every single week, Larry Bluestein, the guy who knows all, sees all, tells all when it comes down to recruiting. I mean, just before we get into everything, Larry, watching social media in the last couple of weeks, in the last week, has been like watching death warmed over, hell freezing over, people going nuts. I swear, there's more heads exploding over between the University of Miami, the University of Florida, all these changes going on. Most of the nation looks at Florida, goes, you people are wacky at this point with what's going on. But man, the Warriors that are out there, Larry, it's time for us. You know, I hate to just blow the brains out when it comes to these people. Scary.
Welcome to my world, Ed Berliner. Welcome to my world. I've lived this for so many years. I've had to put up with every fan base in the world attacking me, from USC to Washington and Nebraska.
Man.
And I will tell you this. But it shows you when you get behind a computer, you sit on your phone on the bed, what a hero you are, and you can call everybody every name in the book and criticize everybody without being accountable, and then attack people for their opinions when you're giving the worst opinions yourself. So I am over that stuff. I will tell you that I embrace taking on this world. I really do. I maybe being an OG now, that I don't care anymore what I say. If it's on my mind, and if it has some facts to it and validity to it, I'll say it. I'm not just gonna do it for effect like a lot of people we know.
And here's which we'll get into. But the thing that kind of caught me, which was so fascinating, is when you and I have sat down in the last couple of weeks, well, ever, but specifically here on this show, we've not made predictions. We didn't come out and say Manny Diaz was going to be fired. We didn't come out and say Billy Napier was going to be hired, or that Mario Cristobal was going to leave Oregon. We speculated, we opined, we talked about what our knowledge base gives us on these things. And man, the knives came out. You said that Cristobal would never take the job. You guys said that Cristobal was never going to leave Oregon. You guys said that Manny Diaz was going to stay. No, that's not what we said. We indicated that Manny Diaz staying was a possibility and might not be that bad for the University of Miami. We talked about how Mario Cristobal might not be the savior coming in from Oregon. We used just some basic common sense. But man, this has been the greatest education I've ever had in social media, when I see a guy who runs or who's a moderator on one of these Facebook sites for the University of Miami, for the Miami Hurricanes, not for the university, but it's one of these unaffiliated sites. A moderator who's a guy who's got a scraggly, wire-haired beard down to his puppic, and he's recording and going live from outside houses that he's painting. And then he comes up and says, yeah, you guys, dog, I'm the one that told you, dog, this was all going to happen. See, I gave you the right stuff. And it's the theater of the freaking absurd, Larry. I'm going to post some of this stuff with this guy because it's way too funny. But it's
gotten to the point where you can't give your opinion, and that's the thing. You and I have been giving our opinions, and any rational person, if you put the facts on the table between Oregon and Miami's program, and then you looked at Mario Cristobal with a sick mother or not, we understand. I mean, and I know she's in the hospital, and I pray for her and all that, but she's going to be sick whether he's here or Oregon. And the whole thing is, you know, they never let the key guy in all the Oregon dealings, Phil Knight, ever get involved, other than saying that he was going to give him a raise down the line. That's all we said. It was just the facts at the time that Manny was 5-1 down the stretch. And if they couldn't get Lane Kiffin, which I couldn't understand. I could never hire Lane Kiffin. He's just not reliable enough. He's here for 2-3 years. He's gone.
Which is something that we've talked about as well when people
Yes.
attack and go, you guys said they should hire Lane Kiffin. No, we never said that. We talked about the
Never
fact that
said
he
that.
is an
Never
unreliable
said. You'll
coach.
never hear it out of me.
He's bounced from place to place to place wherever he wants. He's, of course, look, he's improving his status and he's getting better jobs and more money.
Yeah.
But he's just bouncing from place to place. He has no loyalty to anybody whatsoever. Why would you want this guy? I mean, it's what we came out
USC
and
left
said.
him at Sky Harbor's
Yeah.
airport on the tarmac. So that's enough for me to continue to. But I will tell you this about Manny Diaz. The only thing that I said, and you concurred, is that if you can't get the Mario Cristobal, which I thought was a pipe dream, and anybody else with any real knowledge would have said the same. You know, we didn't know if there was underlying people. We didn't know how many people were trying to bring him back.
We
you know
didn't
what?
predict.
I don't, you know what, really, you know, all I was doing was opining on it. I wasn't giving you or giving the fan base listening.
No, wait, we did
but
opine.
listen, I've been touring
we threw our opinions out there, but our opinions were based on knowledge, and we weren't going here going, yeah, he's going to move, he's going to come, he's going to stay, he's going to be fired. We haven't said that about anybody. I mean, we have indicated there were coaches who were likely going to be fired. Dan Mullen was certainly one of them. Everybody knew that the skids had been greased for this guy and he was on his way out. We all knew that Ed Orgeron was going to get bounced eventually at LSU after creating a disaster of that program right now based on nothing more than sexual harassment and potential sexual abuse. And when it comes to Manny Diaz, we said specifically, if he stays, it's not a bad thing because the guy is doing well here in his third year. Is he perfect? No. Did he leave Temple in a lurch? Okay. But we were pointing on what was happening here right now. And if they kept him, it wouldn't have been the end of the world.
Right.
That's the point. Based on fact and what we knew, not these 927 knuckleheads out there, including a lot of people we know as personal friends and members of the media who said, I've got sources. The ones that knock me down are the ones that say, I've got sources. You're a freaking lawyer, for crying out loud. You're a doctor sitting somewhere. You're a house painter. You ain't got no sources. Don't give me that crap. And we're here talking about the people that you talk to them, I talk to them. And we don't come out every single week and go, my sources tell me. Why? They're friends of ours. We just have the discussions. We're not in the business to go ahead and destroy somebody's life. That's the difference.
Dr. Roth, I have not been your source. He's my nephrologist, University of Miami guy. He loves football. We talk about football, but we never discuss Mario Cristobal. So I'm going to get that off the plate right now. But I will tell you,
you know, I got the same thing. I got a call from one of my friends who knows the program. I mean, this individual knows the program inside out, upside down. And we've had discussions about everything, about Mario and Manny. This person, notice I'm not saying whether it's male or female, this person called me and said, you know, Ed, all the discussions that we had, and you didn't say a word. Thank you. You really are honest and you really are an actual journalist. I said, well, yeah, no, but I'm your friend, first of all, and there's no reason for me to go out and blow it out here like all these other knuckleheads. It's going to happen, then we're going to talk about it. That's the important thing.
I heard the thing that I tried to follow up on, and don't you know that I got call after call from the Portland area media and wanting my opinion on everything, and I said, just clear one thing up for me. How sad was Jessica Cristobal in Portland, Eugene, in that area like that? Because, and the one thing they said is what she did is that lady embraced herself in everything. She was part of 40 organizations. Someone who doesn't like it there would not be raising coats for homeless and doing this around the clock. Believe me, there was a whole lot more to it than that. So, you know what, for all those people who knew everything about the Cristobal family and that they want, you know, they had to come back for this. Listen, whatever reason it is, I really don't care. The only thing that I can say to you is stop talking out your butt. Stop talking like you're the CEO of the University of Miami when you know nothing about the situation. I mean, I talk to these coaches constantly. People tell me, and the one thing about Manny Diaz, he was such a hated person that a lot of his kids actually wept. And people don't even know that because I know some kids on that team whose family told me. They loved that guy, you know, because he did something. He promised and he came through for the promises for those kids. They
Well,
had playing time as freshmen. A lot of the families embraced him. So what we saw about Manny Diaz, and he wasn't the most personable guy in the world, doesn't mean he didn't do that with his players. And those players respected him. And everybody else is making, oh, they couldn't wait to kick his butt out. You're wrong. You're 1,000,000,000% wrong, and I can tell you that right now.
see, a lot of this comes down to, and I know we're way off on where we're going, but that's okay.
Yeah, well,
The whole thing, and this comes down to Manny Diaz, it comes down to Dan Mullen, it comes down to any other coach that has been fired from a job. Look, college football is a big business, and they're all big boys. They all know they're going to get fired eventually. Everybody is going to get bounced. Things are going to happen. Fans are going to turn against you. Nobody held a gun to anybody's head to give them 8, 9, 10, $15 million. None of these coaches hold a gun to anybody's head and say, you better give me that $9 million buyout. No, it's already there and it's agreed to. And they do the best they can. When they fail, okay, you move on and they know it. But
yeah,
there's a difference in the way you present it. There's a real schism in fans, and I'm finding it out that it's generational and it's age. The fans that are there usually between about 20 years of age and 30 years of age. A lot of them are the screaming social media warrior knuckleheads who can't wait to say that they're in charge and they know everything, and it's F you and F this, and you suck and you didn't do this. The ones from 30 to 40, they're the ones that still use social media, and maybe they'll make an attack every now and then. But you're starting to see a little more sanity because they're beginning to understand that it's a job and things happen to people, and you
right.
don't have to be an idiot. You don't have to crush somebody's soul in order to basically comment on them. 40 and over, and getting into the OGs, the old guys, for whatever reason, we've got the experience. We've seen this happen. And we're going, look, okay, the guy's out. We're going to change. Everything's going to be new. You don't have to attack his family. You don't have to attack his children. You don't have to say that his players hated him. You don't have to say that the
Right,
assistant
right,
coaches
right.
hated him. You don't have to say that everybody up and down America wanted to burn this guy at a figurative stake. Okay, relax. Let's get better. And the guy's classy. I'm going to tell you something. Garcia, Manny Diaz, a classy guy on the way out. His statement to the university was classy. He indicated that if you read his statement, it
Yeah,
was, well, sorry that the university didn't work out. And he really wasn't happy with the way the administration handled it because it was a ham
sure.
handed bullshit way to do it and hang this guy
Yeah.
out to dry. But he was classy and he was there and he never once attacked anybody. Wow, look at that.
But even, you know what?
There's that
But
age
even
40
that,
to 60 and up, man. Look, we're not going to go
yeah.
nuts. We've been here. Let's make things better. Big difference.
But even if he was out there
Mm.
recruiting and doing what he did, everyone had, I mean, he didn't really have to with all the rumors flying around. But then, the negative people, well, he should be. He's getting paid for it. And you know what? I don't want to hear it. But let's move on from that because there's a lot more pertinent things to talk about,
Right.
obviously.
I got you. So we went ahead and buried it, and it's all over here. Now, this caught me, and I had to actually look at it a couple of times. There are some very serious so-called experts and journalists who are commenting on what's happening with this changeover in the state of Florida. And let's be honest, whether you're watching us in Florida, Idaho, New York, California, Texas, Florida is a key point for recruits. Everybody is here looking for
Right.
players. Don't kid yourself. But the comment from these people was almost the same. Boy, I'll tell you, the Florida Gators and the Florida State Seminoles, you guys better watch out. I'll bet you they're shaking in their boots right now. I'll bet you that they're changing everything in their recruiting now that Mario Cristobal is at the University of Miami and recruiting. Are you serious? What are you smoking? What are you I mean, I laughed at that. I looked at it and I said, you can't be that stupid. Well, no, maybe you can. You're all throwing homerism out there. I don't think anybody's panicking, Larry.
No, I don't think anybody's panicking. Plus the fact that you have all these new coaches in different places, like Brian Kelly going to LSU and Lincoln Riley ending up at USC, and obviously the you're going to have new coach at Virginia Tech, and then his replacement. So it's not over. You have a lot of Power Five jobs. I know a lot of talk is centering around Luke Fickell, but I think Luke Fickell and Gus Malzahn probably have a pact. Listen, you stay at Cincy, I'll stay at UCF. two big areas. And when we both move into the Big 12, we're both in the Power 5. They're both promised some pretty good raises. So those people are out of the way. Now you got to worry about everybody recruiting the transfer portal. Nobody's worried about Florida, Miami, and Florida State. They're all going to get the kids that they always
Well, but
gotten.
see, wait a
So
minute. Before you hit the transfer portal, just hit that, and let's make it a
yeah,
statement here that's very simple. You know recruiting inside and out. I know it certainly not at your level, but I've been around it as well. The Florida Gators, the Florida State Seminoles, UCF, USF, FIU, FAU, just Bethune-Cookman, just to talk about the Florida schools. Mario Cristobal comes in, nobody's panicking. They have their plans. Yeah, they're going to lose some players, and we're going to get some players. Look, there's already players out there who have decommitted from Florida with Billy Napier coming in, and players who have decommitted from the University of Miami with Mario Cristobal coming in. It all balances out, kids. Same thing's going to happen at USC, LSU, and Notre Dame. So
and
nobody,
Oklahoma.
and Oklahoma, nobody is panicking. They've been doing this for decades. They're
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but the whole thing is we talk about recruiting and trying to get those high school seniors, but even the top teams now are thinking, hey, listen, maybe we only have one offensive tackle. Why don't we go in the transfer portal, get that kid who was at Wisconsin last year? He had 4 kids in front of him that were NFL bound, which happens. It happened with Miami this last year when they got the kid Rambo, who was easily one of the best receivers in the country this year. I don't care if anybody would say. Came from Oklahoma, and the irony of 2 of the guys that he was beaten out, or quote unquote beaten out by at Oklahoma, left. So it happens everywhere. I mean, it's happening. You see Washington getting new personnel. It's going to be shifting. Oregon's got to get a new coach, so it's gonna kind of shake up things there as well. But I will tell you this, and I've said this over and over again. If Bill Snyder back in the day at Kansas State, everybody criticized him for having 18 to 20 junior college kids. But Ed, wasn't he ahead of his time? Didn't he really see that the junior college of that time was like the transfer portal? Right? I mean, you had the elite of the elite
Sure.
kids coming out who couldn't get, the first time around, maybe couldn't get an entrance exam into Wisconsin or Washington or whatever, Oregon, and then all of a sudden goes to junior college, gets a 2-year degree, and now he's fair game, and he's 6'5", 322 pounds, and he's playing offensive tackle. And so Bill Snyder did that, if you remember, with a lot of his kids. So that's what's happening now. It's just, kids are leaving, Tennessee and going somewhere else. There are so many kids in that transfer portal right now. And that's a mind-boggling thing when you leave just because you've been demoted, but you're still on scholarship, and you leave and you blow that scholarship. That's the thing.
The point is, though, nobody's panicking at this point, no matter what school you're at across the
No,
country. Everybody has a recruiting plan. Everybody has a
big,
transfer
yeah,
portal plan. And the fact that there are guys going to sit back and go, well, we got to be careful now because, okay, there's going to be a new coach that's going to walk in at Oregon, so that's going to change now. Things are going to change at USC, and they're probably going to change for the better. Things are going to change at Oklahoma, definitely going to change at Notre Dame. Florida and Miami are now in the mix, plus LSU. Goodness knows what's going to happen to Texas and Nebraska.
yeah,
When Nebraska needs new players. So stop with this nonsense about anybody panicking just because one coach moves into
yeah,
Miami. If you really think that Mario Cristobal is going to change the fortunes of the Hurricanes overnight, and that the 2 of the deepest programs in the country, Florida and Florida State, are going to be worried, hey, sure, they're going to say, look, okay, we got to change things a little bit, new guy here.
yeah.
But stop. Between the transfer portal now and recruiting, everybody's got their lane. Nobody's going to panic. That's the whole point.
Well, but to bring Miami back up, because obviously I want to revert back to when they were winning 57 in a row at home and had elite teams. The Steve Hutchinsons, the Derek Thomases, the Marvin Joneses, they were all still leaving, the Isaac Bruces. So it's not that. You're going to keep some kids home, and you're going to keep elite kids home, but don't be fooled that everybody's coming, because they're not. I mean, there's still a lot of avenues and a lot of things that happened way before Mario Cristobal arrived in Coral Gables. I mean, there's people who have gone to Georgia in the past or Ohio, and just look at some of the kids that are around the country making impacts from South Florida that are at other schools like Georgia and Alabama. The other day, a touchdown by a former St. Thomas Aquinas kid on a pick battle that turned that game around against Georgia in the SEC championship game. So let me tell you something. Nobody needs to be shaking in their boots. He just needs to recruit the way he knows how. He's a personable guy, can close things like nobody else, but he also has to have really good assistant coaches. And that's why I say that's going to be the most exciting part, to see who his staff's going to be, who's going to run the offense, who's going to run the defense. I don't want to hear Joe Brady. I mean, Joe Brady was given everything in the world at LSU and then got fired in his last job. So let's get somebody who's been around for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, an established offensive coordinator that will take Tyler Van Dyke to the next level. Somebody who's played. To me, the no-brainer of no-brainer is Ken Dorsey. I mean, obviously, he's going to get a job in the NFL as an offensive coordinator pretty soon. But, boy, wouldn't he be great to work with somebody like a Tyler Van Dyke or set the tone for the future for that offense, and because he's been around it. So, to me, if you want to talk Ken Dorsey, bringing him back to be OC instead of AD, I'm all ears.
Well, that comes down to another conversation we had about ADs and changing. Look, and something else that we need to point out here, the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars being thrown around in college football here in the last month in what I call the silly season. NASCAR is the one that coined that, when right after the year was over, everybody's changing just before the season. Everybody's changing cars, everybody's moving teams. We have a silly season now in college football, and it's been exacerbated because of the money that's being spent right now. But here's what fans need to consider and what schools need to consider, which is interesting. Miami is now throwing major bucks at, they claim they're going to do it with facilities and how we recruit, and we're going to pay Mario Cristobal a tremendous amount of money. They still paid Manny Diaz a good chunk of change. Ed Orgeron is going to sit back for the rest of his life counting money from LSU. As you pointed out, this is the Bobby Bonilla case. For those of you who are too young to remember, Bobby Bonilla was signed by the New York Mets. They're still paying him. Every year his check arrives. I think he's getting several $1 million a year. It was like $100 million deal back then. I really don't even know. But he's still getting paid. He hasn't played baseball in what, 20 years? Maybe more? 30 years? So there's money out here on the table, and it's going to be interesting to see who spends it best, Larry, because
you're right.
Everybody's got the cash, and the University of Miami now has revealed itself, because in all the nonsense that they've been trying to push, well, we're a private
we have no
school
money. We have no
really
money.
Don't
we
have the
no
money. Oh, bullshit! They got money coming out their ears right now. So I think that the biggest thing that has to be considered in all this is nobody is safe. Nobody.
No.
It doesn't make a difference who you are and whether your coach is 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. Your coach can leave tomorrow. He or she can be bounced tomorrow, and they're just going to keep paying these millions of dollars. Where does it end, Larry?
I don't know. Well, the new AD, I think it's going to end with, because he finally. So when everybody was pointing out how you and I were wrong about Mario Cristobal, that's those same people were also saying how Alonzo Highsmith and Bernie Kosar would be the next AD, and you and I kept vehemently saying, "Listen, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's so minimizing. That's like saying tomorrow I'm gonna go fly my own Delta airline plane. I don't need any instruction. I'll just get in there and just start flying. When I need help, I'll ask a couple of people. No, come on. You're getting a great AD if they do close a deal with Radakovich, I believe is his name, from Clemson. The guy's been there, done that, not just in football, but every other sport. You see, the whole thing is not to hire an AD.
He's not signed. The whole word came out. It was across.
No, I know.
There were legitimate members of the press who were going, "It's done. The deal is done."
Yeah.
As we're sitting here today on Wednesday, December the 8th, it's been over a week now. There's no contract signed yet.
But let's say he does come in.
Okay, let's say he does.
Okay. The idea of hiring a new AD is not to make the football people happy and everybody else sad. What you're going to do is make everybody happy, because they'll do their research and see how he treated softball, girls, women's softball players, and track athletes at Clemson, and basketball and soccer. And so they'll see, hey, wait a minute. They're not just getting a football guy on. This guy took Clemson to the heights in a lot of sports. Because remember, AD, second man in charge in the whole business, because you got Julio Frank and his people, but he's the guy. And that's one thing that I feel Blake James never did, is he never took control. People need to understand that you're the CEO when you're the AD, and everything revolves around you. So that's the thing. You're the boss. And I think this guy, anybody that comes in that they hire, is going to be someone who understands that. And
Well, it's interesting too, the timing, because you've hired a new head coach at the University of Miami and you don't have an athletic director.
yeah,
Usually, you and I know that what happens is you let the AD come in, and then the AD will make the choice, because now you got to consider
mm-hmm,
this,
mm-hmm.
whomever the University of Miami
I
hires
didn't
for this
hire
program.
Mario Cristobal.
See, he now has an out if things go south, because
Yeah.
he didn't hire them. And plus, if you're an AD coming in, you just said that, he or she is the CEO of this entire athletic
Yes.
department. And you're
Yes.
now telling him or her that we just hired the single biggest hire for the athletic department and you've got to live with them. If I'm coming in, I want to bring my people in. I want to have a say. This AD has not had a say. Now, granted, and Larry and I are not making pronouncements here,
No.
it could
No.
work out beautifully. It could. It could also be a complete disaster when it comes
Yeah.
down to things here, because who knows how long Mario Cristobal is going to get before they turn on him. And then the AD's got an out. I didn't hire him.
Well, they already had over under on when the first plane flies with the banner. So
What, six
they've already
games?
had by the 2023 season, the first game, they're going to have a banner. So
Well, that's a
uh,
good point. Let's say there. In your opinion, and you've been doing this for a long time, how long before Mario Cristobal and, let's just say for giggles and grins because it's in there, Billy Napier, how long do they have? Now, I've talked to the group over on Free for All, and we all said 3 years. That's it. I'm not even sure if they'll have 3 years, because what happens if Napier gets off to a great start and goes 8-0, and Cristobal goes 3-5, or the other way around? I mean, how long do
nah,
the
too late,
Larry, in your
Ed. Too
opinion, how
late.
long do these guys have before things start to get hammered down in the athletic department?
Napier, I agree. 3. Mario will have a lifetime. You don't understand. He's
Really?
come in here with all this armor around him, all this protectant, and no matter what, even if it's a 7-6 season, they'll break it down and tell you why it's a 7-6 season. And after you have the conversation, you'll think, okay, I mean, you see, I know how it is. You've got, it, and the whole thing is if you're a fan of Miami, aren't you a little bit skeptical after 21 years of everybody making these speeches and coming back, and Randy Shannon coming home, and Mark Richt coming home, and Al Golden changing the culture? And come on, it's you just can't. You could get optimistic, and you need to be, but let's not like all of a sudden say, well, let's make reservations for New Orleans for 2025, and we'll go to the national championship game because Miami's going to be there. I mean, it's
But
just
wait a minute. But you brought up a very good point, because Mario Cristobal comes in as the White Knight, played for the University of Miami, played for the right coaches, and in the turmoil that has happened around that program for the last couple of years, he's now seen as the absolute savior by the bulk of people, and of course, a lot of them are the keyboard warrior idiots. But we got to lump them in as well, because public opinion usually does mean a lot to these people who listen. When you said that Mario Cristobal's got forever, that's interesting. I mean, if he falters, and I don't think he will, I think the program is on the upswing,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
think Diaz
but you
showed
always
it.
have to have a safety net, and just in case,
Sure.
you
I mean,
always.
Diaz showed it in the last, in his last run of games in the 2021 season. The team was getting better. So it's not like he's inheriting a complete dumpster fire here like Manny did when he came in. But if, for whatever reason, if Cristobal doesn't win the ACC championship and at least be in the mix for a national championship by the end of the third year, I can't see people giving him that kind of break. Not in this culture.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because it's always got to be that thing is Who you going to get next? Who you going to get next? And Miami's going to be one of those push button things. And unfortunately, see, that's what FAU, FIU are supposed to be. You're supposed to build around those programs because they're kind of jobs that you start out or your second job and then use them as stepping stones. Miami shouldn't be a Power 5 job like that in a city like that with a hotbed of talent. So I think I mean, he's going to burn the midnight oil every single night, and he's going to do.
He's a
But
tireless
didn't
worker. I
Green?
mean, the man is the right choice for the culture. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But I always think this. He's going to make the hires. That's the thing. It's who you surround yourself with. He's one of those guys that always believes, and who you surround yourself with is going to be the important thing. Same with Lincoln Riley at USC. He's a young guy, but he's surrounded himself with some really, really good people throughout the years. And that's a testament to Oklahoma that they can bring back a guy from that used to be there, and but even that you lose a lot of people. People are tired, and they don't realize that there's only one national champion every year. It's usually Alabama, obviously, but the thing that I'm trying to make, even Clemson, the fan, look how quickly they got disgruntled. Who wouldn't want a 4-year run like they had?
Look how quickly they fell.
Yeah, I mean, wow. But I mean, I'm just saying, you look at the situation with Clemson, and they had a 4-year run where, geez, Dabo Swinney is the automatic replacement for Nick Saban when he leaves. Maybe
Right.
not now if he keeps losing. No, Alabama doesn't want that contagious, and they don't want a loss and anybody losing coming in there. And I'm telling you, people have to understand this, and I think Mario knows it better than anybody. And especially when you're at the beginning of any job, you're invigorated, you want to do everything, you want to, punch every hole, you want to do everything. And
He
he's
said
going
all
to
the
do
right
everything.
things in the press conference. He's doing all the
No
right
doubt.
things. He's getting all the pictures taken. God bless him. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. So give him the choice. Yeah, we're saying
Yeah.
give him the shot. Come in here, win games, rebuild the
Yeah.
Miami program back to what it was. But it ain't going to be that easy, kids.
No, it's not, because Miami fans, and the one thing that I've really, really found, that they don't think that anybody else in the ACC is doing what they're doing. They don't understand that right as we speak, that Pittsburgh's out blowing up their championship and getting kids from South Florida, and that's not going to stop. I don't care who's here. Charlie Partridge is a damn good recruiter who was at FAU and has been at Pittsburgh and has produced guys like TJ Watt and Jabal Sheard, two guys that kind of made their way in the NFL. So he's got a pretty good calling card as well. And you take a look at some of the other programs, in the ACC that are playing well and that are not that far, like NC State and Virginia, that those guys always have programs that are always competitive. So everybody's working around the clock. Georgia Tech, I think Jeff Collins has done a tremendous job. These teams are all comparable right now. And that's the advantage that any new coach, listen, we've said this before, one of the hardest workers when he got the job was Coach Mike Norvell at Florida State. He was everywhere personally. He didn't have people calling for him. He would go places. So believe me, there's a lot of people working within the ACC to get better as well. So you're right. It's not going to be an automatic situation here. I'm back, but Mario knows that he's had to go
He's
against the
smart.
grain in Oregon as well.
Look, he's smart and he's going to get the job done. And there
Yeah.
we go. We've destroyed another show, and it's all. See, what people need to understand is that there's a lot of letters I get and a lot of email I get from people who go, "You guys talk a lot about Miami." However, if you look at Miami, it's a microcosm of what goes on in college football
We'll
around
switch
the
it up.
country in so many ways. Because there were nut job fans going for LSU, going for USC, going for Nebraska, going for Oklahoma, going for Notre Dame, going to Florida, going to Florida State. I mean, it's incredible how fans have become so impatient
Yeah.
at this point. There used to be that building process, but they become completely impatient, and maybe they should, but at the same breath, one of these days we're going to sit down here and we can do a whole show on the nut job ass clown fans in America today. And it's not just college football, and it's not just Miami, but it's everywhere. And at
Yeah.
this, you got to tell people. Here's what I like to tell people, and we'll close out and come back and do this. This is college football, Larry. At the end of the day, these are 19 and 20 and 21-year-old young men, many of whom have never been exposed to the kind of marketing, the kind of exposure, the kind of media that they're getting. And a lot of the coaches, too, are really kind of, some of them are starting out and some of them are fresh in their careers. Stop shitting on them, people. I mean, I can't say it any other way. Their kids are young. It's not like anybody walks into these jobs and says, I'm going to come in here and screw up Florida. I'm going to screw up Florida State. I'm going to make sure that USC screws up and that Miami blows from now on. No, everybody wants to come in and succeed. Give them a chance. Get behind your team. Support it instead of knocking it down every single second, right?
And remember this, I've been going to these Miami games since I was a kid back in the 60s. So I know I've lived through all this. While most of you just became fans in the 90s and the 80s, late 80s, I had to endure the 18,000 fans on a Friday night. It was, believe me, I know. I saw the Charlie Tates and the Gustafsons and the Fran Kerseys and the Pete Elliots and Walt Kachevskis. Believe me, you guys didn't have to go through all that stuff. So what I'm saying is just from somebody who's followed this program, yeah, I should be a little bit cynical because I've seen more promises made than twice as many as a lot of the fan base today. I think that Mario is the right man for the job. I just think that now things have to take its course. But don't ever believe that nobody else is going to recruit South Florida, because they will.
They will, and they're all doing it right now. All right. Reminder once again, if you want to get a hold of Larry Bluestein, we tell you here all the time, and we put up his stuff because Blue has the handle not just on Florida, but on national when it comes down to high school and college recruiting. Facebook is Larry Bluestein Recruiting. If you put that in, all the dots are there, but you'll find him. Twitter is at Larry Bluestein. Instagram, Our Boy Blue, BLU. And on the web, it is LarryBluestein.com. Take a breath.
Cards and letters will come fast.
And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I have walked away from a lot of the social media boards after the last week because it just got, my Facebook account has blown up. I am seriously getting more than 1,000 people every single day walking in. And I will say that it's gotten better. At the early stage, it was a lot of hammering, but right now we're starting to get into the rational people who are understanding. Let's give them a chance.
Yep.
That's all we're asking. Blue, always a pleasure, man. Take care. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Ned.
Larry Bluestein joins us right here on the Talk Sports Network on the Blue Sheet. Don't forget, go to TalkSportsNetwork.com, catch all the shows there, and you can find me as well as at Berliner Speaks. For Larry Bluestein, everybody here, everybody take a breath. Calm down. It's a fun season of the year. I'm Ed Berliner. Thanks for joining us. Rock on, true believers. See ya.